April 21, 1526. A flat, dusty plain 50 miles north of Delhi. The morning sun is climbing, and 12,000 men are about to face an army 8 times their size. The man commanding those 12,000, he's been running his whole life. Lost his kingdom at 11. Been defeated, exiled, nearly killed a dozen times over. His name is Zahir-ud-din Muhammad Babur. And in the next few hours, this 43-year-old exile is about to build an empire that will last 300 years. Here's the thing about Babur. He wasn't supposed to win. Not this battle, not any battle. His story should have ended a dozen times before he ever reached India. He was a descendant of 2 of history's greatest conquerors. Genghis Khan on his mother's side, Tamerlane on his father's. But bloodlines don't guarantee anything. What Babur had instead was something rarer, a mind that could calculate odds, a pen that could record beauty, and a will that simply refused to accept defeat. Let's go back. February 14, 1483. Babur is born in the Fergana Valley, that's in modern-day Uzbekistan. His father rules a small kingdom, one of many fragments left over from Tamerlane's collapsed empire. Then, when Babur is just 11 years old, his father falls off a crumbling dovecote roof and dies. Suddenly, this child is a king. But in 15th century Central Asia, being a child king meant being a target. His uncles, his cousins, everyone wanted what he had. By the time Babur was 20, he'd lost his kingdom not once but twice. He'd captured Samarkand, the jewel of Tamerlane's empire, and lost it again within months. Most men would have given up. Called it fate. Found a quiet corner somewhere, and spent their days writing poetry. Which, actually, Babur did do. A lot. He wrote one of the world's great memoirs, the Baburnama. In it, he documented everything. Battles, flowers, the taste of melons, his homesickness. He was a warrior who noticed beauty everywhere. But here's where his story pivots. In 1504, at age 21, Babur captures Kabul. It's not Samarkand, it's not the grand prize, but it's a start. For the next 20 years, Babur builds his power base in Afghanistan. He raids into India 5 times, testing, probing, learning what he might face. And then, opportunity knocks. The Delhi Sultanate under Ibrahim Lodi is fracturing. Lodi's own nobles are so fed up with him, they send Babur an invitation. Come take his throne. Now think about this from Babur's perspective. He's 43. He's spent his entire life fighting for scraps in Central Asia. India is bigger, richer, more powerful than anything he's ever known. The safe move would be to stay in cables, consolidate, raid when he could and retreat when he couldn't. But Babur wasn't built for safe moves. In late 1525, Babur crosses the Indus River with around 12,000 men. By the standards of the day, it's not a large army, it's barely adequate. Facing him, Ibrahim Lodi's army. The sources vary, but most put his forces between 50,000 and 100,000 men, plus about 1,000 war elephants. But Babur had something Lodi didn't. Gunpowder. Specifically, he had cannons, and trained Ottoman gunners who knew how to use them. See, Babur had been watching what was happening further west. The Ottomans had just smashed the Mamluks using gunpowder weapons. Babur took notes. On April 20th, 1526, Babur's army reaches the plain of Panipat. They have 1 day to prepare, 1 day to build something that might keep them alive. Here's what Babur does. He takes 700 wagons and ties them together with animal hide ropes, creating a defensive barrier. Behind those wagons, he positions his cannons. Then he employs a tactic called the tulugma, a formation that lets his smaller force surround the enemy from all sides. Classic Central Asian cavalry warfare perfected over generations. The night before battle, Babur writes in his journal, he knows what's coming, he knows the odds, and he makes his peace with whatever tomorrow brings. April 21st, 1526. Dawn. The battle begins. Lodi's massive army advances across the plain, war elephants leading the charge. The ground shakes under their weight. And then Babur's cannons open fire. The sound, it's unlike anything Lodi's army has ever heard. Thunder with no storm, lightning from iron mouths. The elephants panic. And when 1,000 war elephants panic, they don't run away from the enemy. They turn around and stampede through their own army. From the flanks, Babur's cavalry sweeps in using the Telugma formation. Lodi's men are trapped between stampeding elephants and mounted archers raining arrows from every direction. By midday, it's over. Ibrahim Lodi is dead, his body found among thousands of his soldiers on the battlefield. The Delhi Sultanate has collapsed. Babur's casualties, maybe a few hundred. Lodi's losses, somewhere between 15 and 50,000 men. The gamble paid off beyond anything Babur could have imagined. In one morning, Babur went from exiled prince to emperor of northern India. He rode into Delhi as a conqueror, but also characteristically as a tourist. He spent hours visiting Delhi's monuments, inspecting gardens, noting which fruits grew well and which didn't. This was a conqueror who stopped to smell the roses. Literally. But here's the twist in Babur's story. He'd won his empire, but he wouldn't live long enough to truly enjoy it. On December 26, 1530, just 4 years after his great victory, Babur died in Agra. He was 47 years old. There's a story, possibly legend, possibly true, that he offered his own life to God in exchange for his sick son Humayun's recovery. The son lived, Babur didn't. But what Babur started didn't end with him. His descendants, they would transform South Asia in ways he never could have predicted. His grandson Akbar would create one of history's great experiments in religious tolerance. His great-great-grandson Shah Jahan would build the Taj Mahal for a beloved wife. The dynasty Babur founded, the Mughals, would rule India until 1857. That's 331 years of continuous rule starting from one battle. At the empire's height under Aurangzeb, the Mughals controlled almost the entire Indian subcontinent. Over 150 million people. One of the largest economies in the world. The art, the architecture, the cuisine, the language. The Mughals blended Persian, Central Asian, and Indian traditions into something entirely new. And here's where timing matters for us today. April 21, 2026 marks exactly 500 years since the Battle of Panipat, half a millennium since Babur rolled his dice. Now, how people will mark that anniversary, that's complicated. Because the Mughal legacy isn't simple, it never was. The Mughals built spectacular monuments, but they also destroyed Hindu temples. They created syncretic culture, and they waged brutal wars. History is messy like that. In modern India, there's fierce debate about how to remember the Mughals, heroes to some, foreign invaders to others. The conversation is ongoing, and it's not ours to settle. What we can do is engage with the primary sources. If you want to understand Babur, the best place to start is reading his own words. The Baburnama is still in print, and it's remarkable. He writes about battles, yes, but also about his favorite horse, about fruit orchards, about getting drunk with friends and immediately regretting it. He's astonishingly human. You can explore Mughal architecture virtually too. Google Arts and Culture offers detailed tours of the Taj Mahal, the Red Fort, the Jam Masjid. Worth your time. And consider how this 500th anniversary will be marked differently across India, Pakistan, and the wider world. Whose stories get told and who gets to tell them? That's always worth paying attention to. One thing no one disputes, the battle changed everything. Before April 21, 1526, India had no Mughal Empire. After it, the subcontinent would never be the same. Babur himself was buried first in Agra, but eventually his body was moved to a garden in Kabul. Back to the mountains he never stopped loving. He asked for it, actually. specified in his will that he wanted to rest in that high, clear air far from the humid Indian plains he'd conquered but never truly loved. If stories like this one interest you, hit subscribe. We explore history's most pivotal moments every week, and a like genuinely helps others find their way here. So here's what I keep coming back to with Babur. He was outnumbered 8-1. His men had every reason to run, and he bet everything on a technology his enemies had never seen. That morning on the plain of Panipat, history could have gone 100 different ways. But it didn't. Because one man, poet, soldier, exile, gambler, refused to fold. Zahir-ud-din Muhammad Babur, the tiger who built an empire and changed Asia forever.